Hi everyone. Today we are talking about something that everyone has an opinion on, but almost nobody has the truth on. Because right now, the internet is full of extreme beliefs like nice people don't do well, you need ego or arrogance to reach a certain position, cleverness and street smartness matter more than intelligence, or the world belongs to clever or street smart people. These beliefs sound very practical and realistic. They sound like, yeah, this is how the world works. But do beliefs and opinions change the truth? And this is where the illusion begins. Because we've mixed up the basic concepts. We confuse confidence with arrogance, niceness with naivety, cleverness with intelligence, and we mistake manipulation for strategy. So in this video, I'm going to dismantle these beliefs using verified psychology research, Indian philosophy, and the lens of emotional intelligence. Not opinions, not moral lessons, not motivational lines. Just plain and simple truth. Because getting clarity on these beliefs is actually important for developing emotional intelligence. Because emotional intelligence and truth are deeply interconnected. And of course, I'll be using my signature 3P framework in dismantling these beliefs. Let's begin. Now, the problem with this belief is that we jump to conclusions without understanding the mechanism, the process, or the truth behind it. When someone gets exploited, people say, see, nice people always get taken advantage of. But psychology and Indian philosophy completely bust this myth. People who consistently get exploited are not nice. They are unboundaried. They are conflict avoidant. And they are over-accommodating because they fear disapproval. And here's the important part. These behaviors are not limited to just nice or kind people. Even the clever, street smart, or the socially sharp people get taken advantage of for the same reason: boundary issues. Behavioral research shows that people who avoid conflict end up over-explaining, over-apologizing, over-giving, and under-protecting themselves. And this has nothing to do with niceness. This is a pattern of avoidance, and avoidance can exist in anyone. And Indian philosophy said this thousands of years ago, not as morality but as truth. The Katha Upanishad draws a sharp line between comfort and clarity by saying the following: Shreyascha preyascha manushya metaha to sampritya vivinikti dhiraha. Which means both the pleasant and the good appear in front of us. But the wise choose the good over the pleasant. The Gita also suggests that actions done without clarity lead to confusion and poor outcomes. Avoiding conflict is not niceness. It's acting without clarity. And that's why the society made the lazy assumption that being nice is the problem. So the truth is simple. Nice people don't lose. Consistently, unboundaried people do. And unboundaried people can be anyone. Nice or clever. And here's the biggest takeaway of this section. When someone with emotional awareness also has boundaries, the research suggests that they tend to make better decisions under pressure and build trust faster than both arrogant and manipulative individuals. अच्छे हैं, बेवकूफ नहीं. Now let's be honest. Arrogant people do rise. They rise fast, they rise loudly, they rise visibly. And that's why people believe this. But psychology is very clear. Arrogance creates short-term dominance, but destroys long-term influence. And let me give you the biggest truth that none of these arrogant people and their admirers will ever admit. Most arrogant people who do rise eventually pretend to be humble. Why? Because they know that arrogance cannot sustain power. They know that ego cannot maintain influence. They know that people will not follow them long term. And they know that their position becomes fragile. So they soften their tone, they adjust their behavior, and they perform humility. Leadership research shows that arrogant people get promoted faster, but also lose trust faster. They create fear, not loyalty. They get compliance, not commitment. And eventually, they make poor decisions that create financial losses because ego blinds them. And this is where emotional intelligence becomes profitable. EI is the form of intelligence that sustains leadership. EI builds trust, influence, and long-term stability. Indian philosophy described this mechanism with stunning accuracy. The Gita suggests that arrogance leads to delusion, and delusion clouds judgment. The Upanishads teach that ego is restless and unstable. It cannot hold truth. Which means ego can create dominance, but it cannot sustain stability or influence. So the real truth is simple. Arrogance is not an advantage. It's a liability. And humility is not a weakness. It's strength when it stands on self-confidence. Now this belief exists because clever people often look impressive in the moment, not because they are wise, but because they are quick. They can come up with fast answers, they can find shortcuts, they can win small arguments. But cleverness is not intelligence. Cleverness is a subset of intelligence. Psychologists call this tactical intelligence. Useful, but limited. Research on integrative thinking shows that the people who actually succeed long term are the ones who combine emotion, logic, consequence, awareness, and long-term thinking. And that combination is literally the definition of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not softness. It's not niceness. Emotional intelligence is the integration of emotion plus logic plus consequence. EI is the intelligence that sees the whole picture. And this is what Indian philosophy calls Buddhi. Not intellect, not cleverness, but intelligence that sees the consequences. The Katha Upanishad explains this beautifully through the chariot metaphor. Buddhi is the charioteer and the mind is the reins. Which means cleverness is the mind reacting to situations. Intelligence is Buddhi, seeing the whole path. The Gita explains that what feels pleasant at first but ends up in suffering is Rajasic, driven by impulse, not wisdom. Which means cleverness gives quick wins but long-term losses. Higher intelligence gives sustainable outcomes. So the truth is, people may admire cleverness for a moment, but they only stay with clarity and wisdom. Because cleverness does not create trust. And without trust, nothing lasts. Not leadership, not relationships, not success. So time to bring all the three P's together. Practically, nice people don't do well is false. People without boundaries don't do well, not nice people. And boundaries are a core part of emotional intelligence. Profitably, arrogance rises fast, but also collapses fast. And eventually, even these arrogant people pretend to be humble because they know that arrogance cannot sustain power. Emotional intelligence is what sustains leadership. Purposefully, cleverness is not intelligence. It's a fragment of intelligence. Real intelligence, the kind that lasts, is the integration of emotion, logic, and consequence. And that integration is emotional intelligence. So here's the final truth. Success does not come through arrogance, street smartness, or cleverness. Yes, they may be short-term tools, but eventually even these street smart people know that the people who actually succeed long-term are the ones who are humble, wise, and confident. Not arrogant, but confident. Because intelligence is not about being sharp. It's about being clear. Listen again. Intelligence is not about being sharp. It's about being clear. And emotional intelligence is clarity. As always, the research studies used in this video are linked down below. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep building a better you.